Most celebrities make headlines for meltdowns, scandals, and controversies. But Keanu Reeves? He goes viral for offering someone a seat on the subway. Think about that. In a world where fame often breeds ego, Keanu's humility has become his most viral trait. It's not just refreshing, it's revolutionary. But why does basic human decency cause such a stir when it comes from Keanu Reeves? And how did his life, filled with tragedy, rejection, and sacrifice, lead him to become the internet's most beloved actor? Let's find out. It all started with a video. In 2011, a fellow passenger secretly filmed Keanu Reeves riding the New York City subway. He was quietly minding his business, like anyone else. Then he noticed a woman standing nearby holding a heavy bag. Without saying a word, Keanu gestured toward his seat and asked if she'd like to sit. She accepted, and he stood for the rest of the ride. That's it. That's the whole video. And yet, it exploded. Over 42 million views, countless news headlines, a Twitter frenzy. Not because he saved someone from a burning building, not because he performed some outlandish stunt, but because he did the bare minimum. He acted like a decent human being. What made this so powerful was the contrast. Imagine if the cameras had caught another Hollywood A-lister, say someone known for their attitude, doing the same thing. It might have been labeled as PR or damage control, but with Keanu, it felt authentic. He wasn't performing. He wasn't seeking validation. He simply saw someone struggling and acted, and this moment was just the tip of the iceberg. In 2011, the same year as the subway video, another seemingly mundane incident went viral. A woman accidentally backed her SUV into Keanu's parked motorcycle, his classic 1973 Norton Commando 750, outside a medical building in Beverly Hills. Most celebrities would have had their assistant deal with it or maybe made a scene. Not Keanu. He walked out, calmly assessed the situation, chatted with the woman, gave his statement to police, and moved on with his day. No shouting, no accusations, no press conference. Just a man dealing with an accident the way a normal person would. Why did this go viral? Because it defied our expectations. We become so used to celebrities treating others with entitlement. Any display of humility feels shocking. And for Keanu, this type of behavior isn't an exception. It's the rule. Keanu Charles Reeves was born in Beirut, Lebanon, in 1964. But his early life was far from glamorous. His father, Samuel Reeves, was a heroin addict who was in and out of prison. By the time Keanu was 3, his father had vanished, leaving his mother Patricia to raise him and his sister alone. Patricia worked tirelessly as a costume designer, moving her children from country to country as she tried to make ends meet. She married and divorced 4 different men, bringing a revolving door of stepfathers into the home. None of them stuck. Keanu's sister Kim later recalled, "How we lived our lives depended on the man of the moment." Keanu never had stability. He bounced from school to school, 5 in total, and struggled with dyslexia, making academics a constant challenge. He was expelled from one school for being, in his words, a little too rambunctious. Teachers described him as a boy with a dark cloud of sadness hovering over him. Statistically, boys raised without stable father figures are more likely to fall into patterns of anger, aggression, or apathy. But Keanu didn't spiral. Instead, he developed a quiet strength, a resilience that would carry him through even darker times ahead. When Keanu first arrived in Hollywood, agents told him his name was too ethnic, too difficult to pronounce. They urged him to adopt a more American-sounding name. And for a brief period, he tried. He went by Casey Reeves at auditions, but there was a problem when casting directors called Des Casey. He didn't respond. That wasn't his name, so he switched back to Keanu. And despite industry warnings, it didn't hurt his career one bit. In fact, it helped define it. The name became iconic. It was a small but powerful act of resistance. Keanu chose authenticity over assimilation, even if it meant losing roles. That choice would become a theme in his life. In 1990, director Gus Van Sant had written a gritty drama called My Own Private Idaho. He wanted River Phoenix and Keanu Reeves to star. Keanu's agent was interested. Phoenix's agent, not so much. They dismissed the script halfway through the first page, but Keanu wasn't willing to let it go. He believed in the project and in his friend. So he did something few actors would. He hopped on his motorcycle and rode over 2,000 kilometers, from Toronto to Florida to hand-deliver the script to River Phoenix himself. It worked. Phoenix read it and agreed to join the cast. And though River got most of the critical acclaim for his role, Keanu never sought credit. He just wanted to make something beautiful, and he did. Most actors fight for every dollar they can squeeze from a production. Not Keanu. Time and again, he's willingly taken massive pay cuts to make room for others. In The Devil's Advocate, he slashed his salary so producers could afford to bring Al Pacino on board. 3 years later, he did it again, cutting his pay by 90% so Gene Hackman could co-star in The Replacements. And then there's The Matrix. After making tens of millions from the trilogy, Keanu gave away millions of his back-end profits to the visual effects and costume teams. He believed they were the unsung heroes of the film, and he wanted to make sure they were rewarded. Even more impressive, he did this quietly. No press release, no self-congratulations, just quiet gratitude. Keanu's life has been marked by more tragedy than most can imagine. In 1993, River Phoenix, his close friend and My Own Private Idaho co-star, passed from an overdose outside the Viper Room in Hollywood. Then, in 1999, Keanu's girlfriend, Jennifer Syme, gave birth to their stillborn daughter, Ava. The grief tore them apart. Though they remained close, tragedy struck again less than 2 years later. Jennifer passed away in a car crash after leaving a party at Marilyn Manson's house. Keanu was shattered. He rarely speaks about these losses. He grieves privately. But those who know him say it changed him, softened him, deepened him. And instead of letting the pain consume him, Keanu used it as fuel for compassion. Despite being worth over $350 million, Keanu lives like someone who shops at thrift stores. He takes the subway, he flies commercial, he eats alone in diners, reading books and smiling at strangers. There are countless fan encounters that say the same thing. He's kind, he's patient, he listens. In airports, he stops to take selfies. On sidewalks, he chats with homeless people. On set, he knows the crew by name. He has a no-touching policy when taking photos with women, opting to float his hand near their backs rather than resting it. It's a small gesture, but one that's earned him praise as a respectful king. In Hollywood, where vanity and ego reign supreme, Keanu's humility isn't just rare, it's revolutionary. In a culture obsessed with fame, flash, and fortune, Keanu Reeves stands as a reminder of something simpler and far more powerful: compassion, integrity, decency. He didn't have to be this way. The industry tried to change him. Life tried to break him. But Keanu didn't sell out or give up. He stayed grounded. He stayed kind. And in doing so, he became something far greater than a movie star. He became a mirror that shows us what's possible when you choose grace over ego, when you give without asking, when you listen without judgment, when you live without pretense. Maybe that's why we can't stop watching him, not because of the roles he plays, but because of the man he is. And if you're still wondering what happens when we die, Keanu once said it best: "I know that the ones who love us will miss us." And that, right there, is why he's the most beloved man in Hollywood.